Hey everybody, welcome back again to another episode of Momentum Motorsports Meeting. My name is Wyatt Thompson. Man, it has been a while since I've uploaded my past episode. There is so much to get into. We'll talk podcasts, show updates. We'll dissect the race reviews from the Truck and Cup race at Richmond, along with the Arca race at Springfield. And of course, we'll dive into our Motorsports segment. So, without further ado, let's get started. Hope you all are having a great start to the fall semester. Welcome back to the show. This is Momentum Motorsports Meeting. Alrighty, before we kind of kick off some updates regarding the show and for pretty much what I've missed during the summer, I've missed quite a lot. I do want to proudly announce that I have acquired my NASCAR media credentials. Yes, I will be in the media center with my credentials for Daytona this upcoming weekend. This is real. This is actually happening. I mean, it's taken me so much work and effort, because doing a podcast in general, it's not easy. It really isn't. There's so much more pre-planning, and for me to kind of do what I love, cover NASCAR, cover motorsports, and to get this, I mean, I have no words. I legit have no words. There are literally so many people to thank. First off, I do want to shout out Don White. Without him and without all of his connections that he has in NASCAR right now, I don't think he would get me to where I am now if it wasn't for him. So I really want to thank Don White. He's been there with me through pretty much every step of the way. So huge thank you to Don White. I also want to thank everyone at NASCAR that approved my request to, acquire my NASCAR media credentials. I mean, I don't know if you've seen requests like mine. I mean, as soon as I was, officially a junior at UNF, I just went to the, NASCAR media credentials approval request, filled out some stuff, and just basically waited a lot to get approval. So, I mean, everyone at NASCAR that kind of deals with that stuff, huge thank you for approving me. I really, really do appreciate it. I also want to thank everyone at Spinnaker with, just the studio, just letting me come on, talk about my favorite sport. I mean, it's been an extreme pleasure. And for me, I'm just a volunteer. I'm not like an actual worker. I'm not getting paid to do this, but I love to do it because the opportunity, it was there, when I first joined, Spinnaker Radio and said, this is what I want to do. Can you help me get started? And they pretty much did. So without Spinnaker, I mean, I don't think this podcast wouldn't exist. So huge thank you to Spinnaker. And last but not least, I want to thank pretty much everyone that has supported me up to this point. I mean, I posted on my personal Instagram account that I had acquired my NASCAR media credentials, and let me just say the support that I had gotten was through the roof. Absolutely through the roof. I got multiple DMs and multiple messages from so many friends and family just congratulating me, knowing that this is crazy. I am actually doing this. And man, I don't know where I'd be without your support. So I want to thank everyone for helping me, for supporting me, to getting me to where I am right now. I can't believe it. What a year. Alrighty. Enough with my thank yous. That's basically my thank yous kind of done and out of the way. We're going to go ahead and finally kick off some podcast updates. Now, I didn't upload any episodes since the weekend of Rockingham, which goes all the way back to April when the spring semester ended. So it's been a long time. And some people might be wondering, well, how are we going to catch back up? Like, what are we going to do here? And to get to where we are at the present day, because that was a lot that was missed. I think 4 months of just pure racing that I have missed. That makes sense, or well, not really that I have missed. I've been basically been keeping up with it, but just 4 months of episodes where there was just no upload. So what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do this? I'm going to give a nice little debrief of all of the races during the summer up to right now. So that will include a nice little debrief of the NTT IndyCar Series, F1, the Arca Menard Series, the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series, and even the Cup Series. When each series is on its off weekend, respectable. It's a respectable off weekend, I should say. So, for example, next weekend, Truck Series is completely off. F1 is also off until I think the very end of August. So they still have an off weekend to go. And so if we have time next week, we'll kind of do a quick, F1 summer recap and kind of go through a nice dive into the Truck Series and the Arca Series as well during the summer. So hopefully that does make sense. When we keep kind of going along week by week, I'm sure it'll probably make a little bit more sense to you. And then, we might not have to do any of that for when we finally catch up. So hopefully everyone understands that. For right now, let's go ahead and do some race reviews. We got some racing to talk about. We got some great racing to talk about. Arca race at Springfield Mile at the Illinois State Fairgrounds. I really, really like this venue. This is probably one of my favorite dirt tracks that Arca races. Probably one of my favorite short tracks in general that the Arca Menard Series races. The location, it just feels great. It really, really feels great. It's right next to the state fairgrounds, so it's not like there's nothing to do. Like, there's plenty to do. So many, arcades and games and prizes and, the fairgrounds that you can win, while you're waiting for the race to start. And the racing at this track, it's just insane. I love it so much. The cars get sideways even on the straightaways. It's mainly a one-lane groove right around the bottom of the racetrack, so everyone is kind of fighting to stay to the bottom, and if you don't get, the balance of your car right, you'll end up out of the groove on the exit of turns 2 and 4, and you'll just lose so much time. And it was pretty much a nightmare for anyone starting on the outside lane. Brendan Queen started on the outside of the first row, and since he started on the outside, he immediately fell back, outside of the top 5. That's how dominant the bottom lane is at this track. And that doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad thing. It just means that, people, might be able to do a little bit of bumping and running almost. And that kind of seems like a bad idea since it's a short track at, on dirt, and, you're probably going to be sideways going into the corners already, but I don't know. For me, I found the race fun. It was fun. And Brent Cruz, who won this race 2 years ago, just dominated and won at Springfield for the second time in his career. The third win of the season for him in the Arca Menard Series. The third win for Nitro Motorsports as well. Man, Nitro Motorsports is on an absolute tear right now. They've been kind of all over the place this year. They were supposed to be full-time with Thad Moffitt, but then after Michigan, which was the 6th race of the season, Moffitt had a sponsorship withdrawal from a Front Stretch article that I read. It was kind of basically a fill-in of who's going to drive which car for which weekend. So it's been Nitro Motorsports has kind of been all over the place, but either way, third win of the season, that's still pretty good. Other storylines following Springfield, the hometown hero, Kelly Kovsky, I hope I'm saying that right. He's been trying to win this place since 2005. He had a great run going for him, just came up a bit short. It's so hard to find and have enough speed to even contend with the Nitro Motorsport cars, the Venturini cars, and even the Joe Gibbs Racing cars. Like, it's been like for small teams competing in the Arca Menard Series, like, it is tough. So either way, a third place finish, great run for him. This now leads us into our notable finishers. Sean Corr gets a nice top 5 run, really, really solid run for him. Alex Clubb gets a top 10. That's huge for his organization because a couple weeks ago, Alex Clubb's team was involved in a trailer accident on the highway after the Arca race at Iowa Speedway a couple weeks ago. And according to Brandon White, who wrote an article on Front Stretch, the driver fell asleep. Thankfully, everyone was okay, but most of their equipment was unfortunately destroyed, including a pretty wrecked up race car, at least from the photos that I've seen. Glad everyone's okay. Alex Clubb actually did set up a GoFundMe, and as of yesterday, or as of I think the 18th of August, they've raised more than $17,000, and yeah, wow, that's really, really, really good. Shout out to all the fans who donated. That's really good because Alex Clubb, this is the only Ford team in the Arca Menard Series. I mean, yeah, they have Rhett Jones Racing currently driving the number 30 with Cletus McFarland, but that's only part-time. Any of the full-time teams, this is the only full Ford team in the Arca Menard Series right now. And for that team to raise as much money as they have, that's very, very impressive. Just kind of goes to show how powerful, the NASCAR community can be and how helpful they can be. So, yeah, pretty good top 10 run for Alex considering what they went through a couple weeks ago. But anyway, continuing on, Max Reeves was a little bit off in the Joe Gibbs Racing number 18 car, finishing 6th. Venturini Motorsports had a rough one. Like Lawless Allen, Isabella Robusto, both crashed out early. And unfortunately, when I was watching the race, FS1 and Fox never actually showed a replay of what happened to them. Never really described like how it happened. Just didn't even have a replay of it. And I found that pretty surprising. I'm more disappointed in it than not, and I'm more confused, than disappointed, honestly. Just these are two big drivers. Venturini Motorsports is the oldest Arca Menard Series team, and there's no replay. Fun fact, there were like 6+ cautions in this race. There were quite a few cautions during this race, and FS1 never showed a replay of every single caution that was thrown. It's just like, huh? I mean, you would think that, if someone crashes hard and suffers like damage, especially a driver that's been running in the top 10 for most of the race up until that incident, that Fox would have a replay, and they never did. And, at that point, I kind of had to basically imagine what happened. And even if I do imagine and try to tell y'all, I feel like I would get it wrong. So I don't know. I was very, very shocked in FS1 for just not showing a replay. I really hope that they fix that, but it just kind of left me in shock is all. So that's the Arca race. I'm done blabbing about Fox and their replay system for the Arca race last weekend. That's the Arca race at Springfield. I do want this track to get raced more often. Like maybe the Truck Series races there, or even the Xfinity Series. I mean, that might not be realistic because you basically have to deal with the local neighborhood potentially not wanting it to be too loud, but Springfield is a great dirt track. I want other series to race here because I think the venue and location is actually pretty good, and considering it's right next to a fairgrounds, I find whoever did that just absolutely brilliant, and I really I just love Springfield for that reason, So yeah, I just hope Springfield gets more promotion, and I can kind of say that about all racetracks that might be dipping low in attendance. I could say that all day. All right, now we'll go ahead and move to the truck race at Richmond. This felt like this was a pretty good race. The Richmond race and even the Cup race, were all pretty good. This truck race was pretty good as well. I don't even know where to start. This is the last regular season race for the Truck Series, and where do you even start? I guess we'll start with the playoff picture, right? Yeah, we'll start with the playoff picture. Heading into this race, Jake Garcia had the last playoff spot, ahead of his teammate, Ben Rhodes, who's won the Truck Series title twice in his career. The last time he won it was in 2023, and the first time he won it was in 2021. It was a battle between those two drivers for the last spot, essentially. Jake Garcia ran top 10 essentially all race long, stayed ahead of his teammate Ben Rhodes, and Ben Rhodes, unfortunately, did not make up enough points on Jake Garcia. For Ben Rhodes to be out, I mean, that's a huge deal. You know, considering that you won the Truck Series title twice, and the latest was in 2023, just really shocking. Now, I will say that Ben Rhodes and ThorSport really all around, they have not been a championship team. Even Ty Majeski, he dominated this race and probably should have won if not for a little bit of a teammate tangle. We'll talk about that in a moment. Majeski hasn't even won a race yet. ThorSport had its best performance all around. Literally from the drop of the green flag to right around 50 laps to go. Ty Majeski was dominating. He had the best truck. Matt Crafton was one of the drivers who needed to win that was outside of the playoff bubble. Out of all the drivers, he was probably the best one there. Ran around 5th to 7th pretty much all race long. I don't think he had the speed to contend with his teammate, but still a running 5th place to 7th all race long, you know, better than a lot of your other competitors that are currently trying to fight to win to get into the playoffs. I mean, that's still a pretty good run. And in my opinion, I feel like he had a shot until in the final 40 laps, there was some oil on the track. It was reported from Lane Riggs' radio that it was the 33 of Frankie Muniz that unfortunately blew up and got some oil on the track. And then Crafton, heading into turn 3, got into his teammate Ty Majeski, damaged both of their trucks. Fortunately, Majeski's race for the win wasn't entirely out of focus as much as I thought it was. Like when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that just happened. That might have ended Ty Majeski's shot for the win. And it didn't. It didn't. He still had a good shot at winning. But for Matt Crafton, though, I mean, the damage that he suffered was just too severe to even stay remotely competitive. Crafton ended up finishing 34th. Majeski, you know, was pretty much in second on the final restart, and ultimately just couldn't get back to Corey Heim, who won this race. But yeah, I mean, that's a really tough way for, you know, Matt Crafton to go out. But with all of that, Jake Garcia makes up the last playoff spot. We'll talk about next weekend at Daytona probably. We'll talk about the playoff bubble, the playoff cut line, who makes it to the next round, who makes it all the way to the championship 4. But for right now, I want to talk about Corey Heim. I mentioned him earlier. I'm going to mention him now. This is Corey Heim's 7th win of the season so far. That's insane. He clinched the regular season title a couple of weeks ago at Watkins Glen. So between that and the amount of wins that he has, even the amount of stage wins that he has, he's got the most playoff points entering the Truck Series playoffs. How many does he have again? Let's see, looking at my phone. Oh my lord, he has 65 playoff points. That's insane. 7 wins, you get 15 playoff points for winning the regular season title. Man, that's insane. That's like Alex Palou in the IndyCar Series this year. It's pretty awesome to see this domination from Corey Heim. If you thought last year was impressive, this year might be even more impressive for Corey Heim. Yeah, great win for Corey Heim all around. All right, enough about that. Let's take a look at the notable finishers. A couple of Spire Motorsports drivers, Sammy Smith, Corey LaJoie, both get top 5 finishes. Good runs for them. Caden Honeycutt for Halmer Friesen Racing gets a top 10. Previously, he was with Nice Motorsports full-time. We'll cover that next week. It's a huge story that I don't think I'm going to have enough time to get into, and we'll definitely cover next week. Christian Eckes running the 16 truck, running the Shigi Hattori tribute sticker. That's a really nice tribute. Gets a solid 12th place finish. It was nice seeing that number 16 truck that, Shigi Hattori, used to own. It was nice seeing that truck kind of being able and being pretty competitive, running in the top 10, getting a nice solid 12th place finish. Good run for Christian Eckes. CR7 Motorsports fielded a second truck this past weekend with Carson Kvapil. Got a nice 15th place finish there. Pretty solid. Andres Perez, who drives the 77 Spire Motorsports truck full-time, got released from Spire Motorsports last week, and thankfully he'll be driving for Nice Motorsports for the rest of the year, including this past weekend's race at Richmond. He drove the number 44, finished 21st. Unfortunately, it was just right around there. I feel like that's just kind of been the story of his season so far, but still, it's okay. You'll take what you can get. Let's see. Daniel Hemrick had Daniel Hemrick had issues early, like right out of the gate. Blew a right front tire and just ultimately couldn't recover. I also do want to mention Jack Wood. He missed this past weekend's race at Richmond due to an injury he suffered at Watkins Glen the week before. Cut a tire, and the S's hit the barrier hard, and I wasn't sure. It looked like he was going to be able to continue and compete in last weekend's race at Richmond. Unfortunately, that just wasn't the case. Glad he's okay. Hopefully he'll be back in the truck in a couple of weeks when it comes playoff time. Again, we'll talk about the Truck Series news, previous races, the playoff cut line for every round next weekend at Daytona. However, if there's enough time. However, we're going to move on to the Cup Series race at Richmond. Okay, I want to be the first to say that this was a really, really good short track race. This felt like one of the classics from kind of like 2008 to 2010. Is that not, like, am I making sense here? It just felt like a classic short track race. Tons of tire wear. Goodyear brought some very, very soft tires, very aggressive with their tires and tire wear. So much tire wear that, like, after 30 laps, tires started to fall off immediately and drivers were struggling. So much strategy, so much passing on equal tires. That is something that fans, and especially me, just weren't used to seeing. There was a big one, a big crash at Richmond. That hasn't happened since like 2016. There was a sellout crowd, according to Jordan Bianchi, and it is believed that that is Richmond's first sellout in 17 years, all the way back to like 2008. Holy moly. Yeah, like, this was a great race. I really, really enjoyed this race. Where do we begin first? Let's start with the winner. Yeah, let's start with the winner, Austin Dillon. I remember last year at Richmond, Austin Dillon had the best car. Was cruising to the win last year. Then a late yellow comes out, which forces an overtime finish. He gets beat by Joey Logano on the final restart. And then in the final corner of the final lap, just sent it 3 car lengths back. And then also wrecked Denny Hamlin when Hamlin started to move to the inside as well. Austin Dillon did end up winning the race, but due to him intentionally, or a lot of fans believe that he intentionally wrecked Denny Hamlin, NASCAR gave him the win, but said that the win doesn't count towards the playoffs, which means that even though that he won, his win didn't count towards the playoffs. But for this year, though, it's redemption at its finest. That might be the best redemption I think I've ever seen. Austin Dillon had such a great race car. I don't know what it is with him at Richmond, but I guess I kind of should have seen this coming back in 2020. I remember in 2020, during COVID year, where it was the Gen 6 era, Austin Dillon was actually very, very good and had the best car. He unfortunately missed pit road and gave Brad Keselowski the win back in 2020, and that was also during the playoffs, but still, a lot of fans were very, very surprised about how good of a run that he had. And just this year and last year, he once again had a great car. This year in 2025, I was honestly kind of expecting, is there going to be a late race yellow? Is there going to be a late race yellow? And fun fact, there never was. Austin Dillon won this race, and it was just on pure pace, too. The amount of speed that he had on the long run was actually insane. Like, the balance of your car matters so much here. I mean, tires also matter, too. He and Ryan Blaney had a great battle for the lead. The battle for the lead between him and Blaney before the final green flag pit stop began was very, very, very fun to watch. And as soon as Austin Dillon basically overtook Ryan Blaney, kind of roughed him up the track a little bit, he immediately headed down pit road to get those 4 fresh tires. And fresh tires mean the difference. They mean a world of difference. Even 1 lap, even 2 laps or 3 laps, the fresher tires mean the difference. When I saw Austin Dillon do that, I was like, oh my gosh, I think he just pulled off the race winning strategy call, because that was the perfect call. He had the best long run speed out of anyone. He absolutely clapped the field. Nobody really had anything for him. When he went down pit road, pretty much as soon as he passed Ryan Blaney, I was like, oh my gosh, I was just kind of laughing. I was like just sitting there in awe. I was like, unless a caution, fall out within like the final, 60 plus laps that we had left, Austin Dillon is going to win this race. And he did. He really, really did. So I got to give a huge congratulations to Austin Dillon and Richard Childress Racing. RCR has not had the best season. Dillon is currently 28th in points. Kyle Busch actually had a decent run going for him. I think he ended up finishing, 16th, 17th, which actually isn't too terrible considering he ran like 34th for most of the race and actually did cause a pretty severe big one in stage 3. It was just on the restarts between he, Chase Briscoe, and Kyle Larson, and it looks like Larson kind of went down, Briscoe kind of checked up, then they headed into turn 3, and Kyle Busch just kind of got into the back of Chase Briscoe, caused a very big wreck. I think it included himself, Justin Haley, who's had such a rough season. I really do feel bad for him because Justin Haley has gone through just the worst luck that you could possibly think of. Briscoe, of course, was also involved. Denny Hamlin was also involved, and many, many others, which I can't seem to name off the top of my head. Kyle Busch kind of drove out of the wreck and then just kind of went left, and then clipped Chase Elliott, who went head on into the outside wall, also collected William Byron as well. A lot of fans were pretty upset, and I don't know what to think about this. To me, I feel like it was completely accidental. I thought that maybe Kyle Busch didn't have like any steering, like he just couldn't steer the car. But I mean, even after that big one, like he was still like in like the top 10, top 15 on that restart. So I don't really know what to say about it. From my vantage point, I'm going to kind of like, it's something that I can kind of forget because big ones happen often. It's something that can happen, and I'm not going to really hold Kyle Busch against that. Not really at all. So yeah, just a weird wreck, especially after the fact where Chase Elliott unfortunately got clipped. Elliott was okay. Huge hit that he took, by the way. Elliott did. Wow, that was a hard hit. That's his first DNF of the season, and previously he's just been so steadily consistent, like finishing in the top 25 almost every single race. Like that is seriously impressive. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and take a look at the notable finishers. Let's see here. Oh yeah, great run for Alex Bowman. For a second there, he was actually running down Austin Dillon. Bowman was. In the final, like I think he pitted I think the latest out of anyone came out around third and just drove his way to the front. Actually gained a lot of time. Was one of the fastest cars on track near the end of this race. I did notice that he was complaining on the radio. I think he was struggling to pass SVG and Austin Dillon's teammate Jesse Love, and was actually, in the heat of the moment said, "Hey, that's race manipulation." I don't think that's race manipulation. I just think that stuff kind of happens. But I do understand Alex Bowman's frustration because, hey, he could have won that. He legit could have won that because he is currently the last guy in the playoffs. We'll talk about the playoff picture in a moment. Ryan Blaney gets a nice, solid third-place finish. Just felt like especially near the end of the race, he just didn't have the car. He still had a pretty good car, like a top 5 car, just not a race-winning car. And his two Penske teammates, Logano and Cindric, top 5. Joey Logano started dead last, by the way, 38th, drove all the way up to 4th. Great run for him. Austin Cindric, I feel like he's been up and down this year. He gets a much-needed top 5. Shout out to Daniel Suarez, finishing in 7th. Great run for him, considering he will not be returning to the 99 next year. Even look at that! Josh Berry for the Wood Brothers. That's technically Team Penske's fourth car. The 21, Berry gets a top 10. Great run for him. Brad Keselowski, a solid 9th place finish. Zane Smith in the top 15. Oh, wow, look at that. Byron and Briscoe, who are involved in that big one, came back to finish in the top 15. SVG, I do want to talk about him. He was impressive to watch. He was fun to watch. He was ripping the far outside all the way up to the wall in turns 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 for a decent portion of this race, and ran top 15 all race long. Ends up 14th. The progression that he's made on the ovals has been absolutely extraordinary. I love seeing him being in the top 15 more often than not, or even in the top 20, I think is a realistic goal for SVG to make. 14th place finish is a great run for him. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Kyle Busch actually did come back to finish 16th, so not a bad finish there. And Ty Dillon gets a nice 20th place finish. Good run for him. Bubba Wallace and 2311 Racing. I want to talk about 2311 Racing. They had a great run. Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick probably had the best cars on track, but unfortunately just made several mistakes. Tyler Reddick got spun out by his teammate Ty Gibbs, who kind of got bumped out of the way by Daniel Suarez. Unfortunately, just couldn't recover. I also think he was part of that big wreck as well. And then Bubba Wallace. That basically meant Bubba Wallace was the one left standing, and Bubba Wallace had been pretty good on pit road up until one of the final few pit stops. Actually lost a left rear wheel, and then he kind of went into Chase Briscoe's pit box, and Chase Briscoe's pit crew actually was able to get the tire back on. But at that point, I could kind of tell that the race for the win was definitely off the table. Reddick and Bubba Wallace had probably the best cars on the racetrack. I would have really enjoyed and really would have loved to see the battle between those two and Austin Dillon, because I think those 3 cars were probably the best cars as far as getting the win or a shot for the win. Definitely very, very disappointed, but man, the speed that they had, that was seriously impressive. I was pretty shocked of how well they were running. Chris Buescher finishes 30th. Ryan Preece started on the pole, finishes 35th. Preece just, I don't know what happened to him. He looked like at the start of stage 1, he was actually doing okay, fairly okay. Was up near the front for most of stage 1, and then I think just the strategy just kind of set him back, or I don't know, the balance of his car just went away, but that was really, really, really odd. Yeah, big bummer there for Ryan Preece. Chris Buescher, also 30th, not very good considering he's currently fighting to stay in the playoffs. Let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff bubble entering Daytona, which is the final regular season race. Right now, everyone who has won a race, is all locked in. There are 2 drivers trying to get in on points. Tyler Reddick plus 89 points to the cut line, and Alex Bowman is plus 60 points to the cut line. Buescher is the first one out, minus 60, and Ryan Preece is the second driver out, minus 94. I think the maximum amount of points that you can make up is like 58 or something. That's if you win the race, if you win both of the stages, and if you get the fastest lap, which grants you an extra point. Yeah, you pretty much have to win. Appointing your way in from this point on is just not possible. It's not going to be possible at this point. You have to win. You essentially have to win. I mean, it makes everyone's goal simple, like for Daniel Suarez, Justin Haley, Todd Gilliland, who are all much, much deeper in the points. They basically have to win, and they're locked in the playoffs. I am a little worried for Alex Bowman and Tyler Reddick, though, because if they get into a wreck early in this race, there's a chance that they could be eliminated because of that. Even Tyler Reddick, like if we get a new winner and Alex Bowman gets like 29 more points than Tyler Reddick could be eliminated. That's insane to me. Who was like 1 point short of winning the regular season title last year. For Tyler Reddick to not make the playoffs at all is going to be a huge storyline at the end of this race. I mean, for everyone that's currently like that hasn't won yet, I would expect them to mainly fall near the back because, like I said, their only goal for anyone that's below the playoff bubble right now, they just need to win. Stages don't matter. Stages do not matter. All that they can pretty much hope for is just to make it to the end of the race. So it's going to be tough. I feel like for Tyler Reddick, he needs to. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he was going to be up in the top 10, contending for stage points, so that if there is a new winner like Buescher or Preece, he would still have enough points to point out Alex Bowman. And I feel like Alex Bowman might also go for stage points as well. I would also expect all of the winners who have currently won this year, like Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, Cindric Chastain, Josh Berry, Austin Dillon, Chase Briscoe, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Denny Hamlin. I would expect all those drivers of the names that I just listed, I would expect them to also go for playoff points, because more playoff points is going to be valuable. Every playoff point pretty much matters. So it's going to be interesting, man. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for Daytona. Daytona is going to be an exciting race to watch. There's going to be a lot of storylines with RFK, all 3 drivers currently out. Previously, like the past 3 months or so during the summer has basically been Buescher versus Preece for that last spot. Brad Keselowski is actually 22nd in points right now. That's not that bad at all. Wait, no, actually, Brad Keselowski isn't 22nd in points. He's currently 19th. Okay, he's 19th in points. He's 22nd on the playoff bubble. Yeah, like Brad Keselowski, who's had such a disappointing start to the season, he's been able to claw his way back into the top 20 in points, which is actually very, very impressive. So, yeah, I mean, the playoffs, it's going to be something to watch for Daytona. I legit cannot wait. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically the playoff bubble and all the storylines from Richmond. I mean, I really love a Saturday night race at Richmond. The sold-out crowd, according to Jordan Bianchi, was pretty nice to see. The first time that's happened in 17 years, according to Adam Stern. That was pretty. I enjoyed seeing that nice statistic right there. I think I really enjoyed that. Alrighty, so that is all of our race reviews. Now, let's go and dive into our motorsports segment. We've got some 2026 schedules to look at, but before we do that, I want to get into some silly season news. First off, regarding the Arca East Series, City Garage Motorsports announced that they will field 2 full-time cars in the Arca East Series, the 85 and the number 5. The team is also going to be competing at Daytona next year, along with some other races in the main division series, and they're going to be partnering with Michael Clayton. Michael Clayton is actually a former Xfinity Series principal, which is pretty exciting. I like this. I'm excited for, the Arca East Series next year, especially now that they have 2 more entries to be competing for the Arca East title, and also especially for Arca. I mean, this is a team that is currently running part-time this year, now going to be full-time, at least in the East Series. It's going to be cool to see how well they run. Wishing them all the best of luck to them. Next up, some Truck Series news. I said I wasn't going to get into this until next weekend, but I do want to cover this because it's news that I literally just got pushed to my desk. ThorSport announces that Matt Crafton will retire from full-time racing after the current 2025 season, and Ty Majeski will move to the number 88 car next year. Huge storyline in the NASCAR Truck Series. A veteran of the sport who won the Truck Series title 3 times, unfortunately retiring. And now Ty Majeski now going to be in that 88 truck. Man, I can't believe it. He started in the 66, moved to the 98, still drives the 98 this year, now going to the 88 in 2026. Oh my gosh, Majeski fans, I feel bad for you. They're going to be having to buy a new t-shirt like every 3 months. That's pretty funny. But going back to Matt Crafton, man, I'm not going to say that I kind of expected this to happen. He's currently 49 years old. That's just insane. 49 years old, and he's still doing full-time Truck Series racing. There's some cool stats that I want to share. The year that he went full-time truck racing was all the way back in 2001, and Menards, the company, sponsored the 88 full-time the year after 2001. So essentially they started sponsoring the 88 in 2002, and that's basically lasted up until now. That's 23 years of Menards and Matt Crafton partnership in the Truck Series. That's just insane. It's an absolute end of an era for sure. When I see the 88 Menards truck in the Truck Series, I automatically think of Matt Crafton. It's kind of like seeing Lowe's on the 48 car, and you automatically think of Jimmy Johnson, or Tony Stewart with the number 20 Home Depot car, or even Denny Hamlin with FedEx. That's kind of like Crafton and Menards. They have such recognizable paint schemes. It's going to be sad. It's going to be sad missing them. I will say this, Crafton has had a little bit of a rough season. He failed to make the playoffs this year. I just talked about his performance at Richmond this past weekend, and also failed to make it last year. But from 2007 and 2023, he finished top 10 in the points or better. That's 16 years straight of finishing in the top 10 in points. That's crazy good. That's actually crazy good. I actually got those facts from Racing Reference. Thank you, Racing Reference. That's just insane. Matt Crafton has definitely had a great Truck Series career. I do hope he makes some one-off starts, but we'll definitely miss him, going full-time. And I'm honestly wondering if Menards is going to stay with ThorSport Racing. Maybe Menards will sponsor, Ty Majeski in the 88. If that's not the case, that's really going to be unfortunate. It's going to be kind of like Kyle Busch and M&M's. Like M&M's said that they weren't going to be sponsoring the number 18 of Kyle Busch after 2022, and then ultimately Kyle Busch was out of a ride at Joe Gibbs Racing and is now at Richard Childress, and we all know the rest, as they say, is history. But if Menards dips out of ThorSport, I definitely wouldn't blame it against them. But if they do stay on board and sponsor Ty Majeski, I mean, that's huge. That's great news. And if Menards doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised if ThorSport downsized a little bit. They currently have 4 full-time trucks and 1 part-time truck, and it wouldn't surprise me if they downsized. And I think they need to right now, because ThorSport in general this year hasn't been going very well for them. Their performance this year isn't championship caliber right now. Normally, when we think of when diehard fans think of ThorSport Racing, they think of that organization winning Truck Series championships. And right now, I do not see a path where Ty Majeski or Jake Garcia can get their way all the way to the championship four and win the Truck Series title. They only have 2 drivers in the playoffs right now, and they could have had 4. They could have had all 4 of them. Menards, Ben Rhodes, Jake Garcia, and Ty Majeski. All 4 of them could have been in, and unfortunately, just the performance this year just hasn't been the case. So I will give credit to Jake Garcia. He's actually improved a lot from last year, but everyone else has kind of been in a pretty major, season slump, I'll just say. So if ThorSport Racing kind of downsizes to just 3 full-time entries, I wouldn't be surprised if they kept the same and wanted to do 4 full-time. I will be a little bit surprised, but it's definitely a very, very interesting story if Menards is going to stay on board with ThorSport in 2026. So that's all of the silly season news. Next up, we've got some major title sponsor news. According to Bob Pockrass, the NASCAR Xfinity Series has a new sponsor for 2026. It will be known as the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Quick reaction here. This is a pretty big story. We'll definitely miss, Xfinity for being the title sponsor for so long. I think lots of drivers say in their interviews, our car was as fast as Xfinity 10G. I wonder what drivers will say now, knowing that O'Reilly's Auto Parts is replacing Xfinity as the title sponsor next year in 2026. Maybe something like, we'll use the good old O'Reilly Auto Parts to get this car adjusted and fast and get it to victory lane. Something like, I don't know. I just made that up. But pretty cool to see O'Reilly Auto Parts, a recognizable car brand that almost everyone uses. It's pretty awesome. I'm excited to kind of use that name in next year. Alrighty, now we get to look at the schedules for 2026. The full schedule for the Truck Series, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and the Cup Series for 2026 has finally been released by Bob Pockrass. Let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at it. I do want to say that there were a lot of track announcements, that they were returning to 2026, but I wanted to take a look at the full official schedule. First off, the Truck Series schedule. Some big notable changes according to Bob Pockrass. St. Petersburg is on the Truck Series schedule. You heard that right. IndyCar is known for racing there, and now NASCAR is also racing there, at least for the Truck Series. Wow, that's gonna be a great double header. That'll be fun to watch. Rockingham is back on the schedule. Definitely a big thumbs up there. I think the Rockingham truck race was actually fairly competitive. The Truck Series is racing at San Diego off on the West Coast. Truck Series is also going back to Lime Rock Park in 2026. That was also a very fun race to watch. Very interesting to see the Charlotte Roval on the Truck Series schedule. I think that's the elimination race for the round of 10 for the Truck Series for next year. That's insane. I think that's also the first time for the Truck Series that they will be racing at the Charlotte Roval this year. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty insane. And on the top of road courses, just looking at it, the 2026 Truck Series schedule has 5 road courses, and as of right now, there are currently 3. Out of all the races in 2026, 20% of those races are road courses. In my opinion, that's a bit high. I think that's a bit high. I was okay with 3. I'd also be okay if they went down to 2. I think 5 is just a little bit too high, in my opinion. A bit of a bummer news. No truck race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, along with no Pocono. But I know they are returning to Dover for the first time since 2020. I checked a racing reference on there for that fun statistic. And then the Truck Series finale has been moved to Homestead, Miami. Previously, the past few years, it's been at Phoenix. Those are the big notable changes. Overall, it's a solid 2026 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series schedule. Can't wait for it. Moving on to the Xfinity Series schedule, or it's now going to be called the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series schedule. Everything honestly looks pretty solid. I do find it very disappointing that New Mexico isn't on the schedule. This was NASCAR's first time racing internationally at New Mexico, and I really think that it was a huge success. The races there were very, very good, very, very competitive. I do find it disappointing that it isn't on the 2026 schedule. I hope it returns for 2027. We'll just have to wait and see. Also, Portland isn't on the schedule anymore. And it looks like, just looking at this year's schedule and next year's schedule, it's going to be Darlington that's going to be replacing that weekend. So we're going to have 2 Darlington races. I do love Darlington. Do not get me wrong. I love Darlington Raceway. It's probably one of the greatest mile-and-a-half tracks that loves to eat up tires. But I really don't like that Portland isn't on the Xfinity Series schedule, or no, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series schedule, because I really like Portland Raceway. I mean, like, even the IndyCar race that was there just a couple of weeks ago, that was a pretty decent IndyCar race from start to finish. I love Turn 1 that Portland has to offer, and there's a long straightaway section that leads you to a quick left and right turn, which ultimately leads you towards the start-finish line. And then, of course, Homestead Miami Speedway is the championship race for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Back-to-back road courses in San Diego and Sonoma Raceway on the West Coast is actually something I'm fine with. Logistically, it makes a lot of sense, actually, to kind of have those 2 road courses back-to-back where they're so very close. Aside from, the 2 nitpicks I have about Portland Raceway being gone and New Mexico being gone, I actually do like the schedule. It's a nice schedule. I will say that. It's a very nice schedule. Now, we're going to go ahead and cover the NASCAR Cup Series schedule for 2026. We've got about enough time to cover that. Let's take a look. Everything looks pretty good right now, at least compared to this year. Watkins Glen moved to May. It's been moved around quite a bit in the past couple years. Last year, it was a playoff race. This year, it's in the middle of August, and now it's in May. It's kind of like it's going backward almost. And also, next year's race at the Glen will be covered by Fox. So, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I have heard that the weather, near Watkins Glen is very, very bad in the winter. So praying for some good weather at Watkins Glen during the month of May. That'll be something to look forward to. And speaking of road courses, I actually like the spread of road courses this year. First one is at Circuit of the Americas in March. Then in about 2 months, there's Watkins Glen in May. Then in another month, there's back-to-back road courses, San Diego in their naval base and Sonoma, both road courses that's located on the West Coast. And then the last road course race being at the Roval in October. That's like a nice spread of road course races that I really like. It felt like for this year that all of the road course races, at least most of them, were all kind of clumped together. And now to see them kind of spread out, I think there's also one less road course in 2026. So I'm actually fine with the amount of road courses that we will have going into 2026. Next up, Dover. Dover is now the All-Star race. That's I don't know about that. It was leaked by Jordan Bianchi. I got to give a lot of credit to him for reporting that like last week. And I don't really see the reason behind it. I always thought that the racing at Dover was solid. It was good. I mean, Dover fans went from like 2 races in like 2020, then went down to 1 date, and now in 2026, the All-Star race isn't even a points-paying race. So, huge bummer for any fans of Dover. I know they're going to be extremely disappointed. Yeah, I mean, Dover is kind of known for its long green flag runs. It's its own unique short track. I'm calling it a short track because it's only 1 mile. It's like its own unique beast. It's also nicknamed the Monster Mile. It's got a character named Miles the Monster that likes to eat race cars for breakfast. I just love that about Dover. I don't know why. I just love the basically all of the personalities that Dover Raceway has. And it's not like it's going to be a night race either. It's going to be on Sunday in the afternoon, and I think logistically, I don't think it's realistic for NASCAR to put lights up on that track. Just very shocking. But maybe my mind will be changed when we get to that weekend in 2026. That's replacing North Wilkesboro. that's currently on. That's currently the All-Star race for this year. North Wilkesboro is now a points-paying race. That's pretty cool. Definitely can't wait to see that in action. Let's see what else. Chicago Street Course not returning. That's going to be essentially San Diego and their Navy base. NASCAR, is kind of exploring different venues to do a street course. I will miss Chicago, but definitely excited for San Diego. Oh my gosh, look at this. Chicagoland Speedway. It's back. It's back on the NASCAR schedule. That is something that I'd never thought I'd see. Oh my goodness. NASCAR hasn't raced there since like 2019. About 6 years. The racing product there that I've watched, I remember when I watched that famous 2018 finish between Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, the energy from the booth was just fantastic and so electric. The racing was great. I think the racing product with this next-gen car is going to be fantastic. I will definitely be very excited to watch that. I like that the in-season tournament challenge is starting at Sonoma, a road course. It's going to be broadcasted by TNT. I think a lot of fans will be happy with this decision, including me. This year, the in-season bracket tournament started at Atlanta, and after Atlanta, where there was a big wreck that took out everyone's brackets, nobody had a perfect bracket going through, after Atlanta. So, yeah, I definitely like that it's starting at a road course. I think that's something that will keep fans engaged with the in-season bracket tournament as it goes on. The 2026 Cup Series schedule also has 2 off weekends. That's pretty cool. That's something I'm in favor of. I kind of remember when the Summer Olympics began, and what was it, like 2024, 2023? NASCAR had 2 straight off weekends, and I got to be honest, as a diehard, dedicated race fan, I was actually okay with it. I got the chance to watch other series, maybe some kind of like some late models and some modified dirt track racing. I got a nice little break from NASCAR, and I think it's going to be huge for the industry to finally get two weeks of a break, because the NASCAR, especially the Cup Series, it's a grind every single week. So 2 off weekends in general in 2026 is something that I like. And then last but not least is the championship race from Phoenix to Homestead, Miami. That actually might be something I attend to. I might be able to attend the championship race. Overall, a really, really solid Cup Series schedule. Definitely can't wait for the 2026 season. For the Arca Series, no 2026 schedule that hasn't been released yet. But according to Bob Pockris, their Arca schedule should be released soon. I do want to point out that Pocono will have an Arca race there, and on the Arca Series website, the Arca Menard Series will be racing at Chicagoland next year. So Pocono and Chicagoland. So the Arca Series going to Pocono and Chicagoland. That'll be definitely very, very exciting. And that is all the time that we have. We will be back next weekend covering the Xfinity and Cup race at Daytona. I will be at the track with my media credentials at Daytona. We'll also cover the IndyCar race at the Milwaukee Mile. And during the Xfinity race, there will also be the Arca race at Madison Speedway. I'm not sure. There's no guarantees I'll be able to cover all of those races in that weekend. I know for sure we'll be covering Xfinity and Cup at Daytona. Again, huge thanks to everyone that supported me in helping me get my NASCAR media credentials. I cannot thank everyone for the support. I cannot wait for Daytona weekend. I will be sure to interview a lot of drivers. I'll debrief you on all the stuff that happens. I'll see y'all later, y'all. Have a great day, everybody.